Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Staying Together COVID-19 discussions. It's March 31st, last day of March, if you can believe that. Um, so as a general reminder, these are discussions meant for all of you to share and discuss and stay connected. We'll keep them to 60 minutes. We will not share reports as staff from WVLS unless it is information that we feel that you need to know. We do not have a formal agenda, but we'll have a discussion topic each meeting, and then we will always do round robin sharing. And as you just heard, these sessions are being recorded, and then we also archive them on our webpage as soon as they are done, as soon as they are ready. We archive them on our webpage. Just some reminders, please keep yourself on mute when you are not speaking. If you are listening in via phone, the *4 will mute and unmute yourself. Please let everyone be heard, and we encourage you to share. That's the point of these meetings. You can either share via audio using your voice, or you can share through the chat box. So I will be keeping an eye on that, and I will be relaying what is in the chat as well. Also, please introduce yourself when you speak. I can see who all of you are, but others might not be able to. So something simple like, hi, this is Stephanie, or hi, this is Erica, and then say what you'd like to say. Want to give you another reminder of the way that we're communicating the webpage. We do the daily updates every day. You can continue to submit help tickets through the help email. You can contact staff members by email, and then doing these staying togethers twice a week. So I want to mention now, before I forget, that the Fridays session will be at 10 o'clock. So 10 o'clock on Friday instead of 1 o'clock like today. So today, our round robin check-in is going to be based on what are you doing to cope and stay healthy or connected. So this could be related to your library work, or personally, what are you doing? How are you coping with these changes? How are you staying connected? What are you doing to keep yourself healthy? That could be physically healthy or mentally healthy, or whatever you feel like sharing. We're going to talk about board meetings today, as a lot of you have board meetings coming up and what WVLS can offer in terms of support. And then Marla participated in a SIRLA meeting, a meeting with all of the other system directors today. That happens every week, and she has some information to share with you about that meeting. So we will make sure we leave time for that. Okay, so let's start with, what are you doing to cope and to stay healthy or connected? So I'm going to start with, how about Teresa? Teresa, if you want to unmute yourself and share.
Sure. Is that because you realized that I had a breakdown yesterday, or?
No, because you're first in my list, and I didn't know. You're first in the list, that's why.
So, little background. Yesterday, via Facebook, I found out that my city hall closed. So, kind of freaked out a little bit, and texted the city clerk and emailed the mayor, and then I called my city representative, and I said, what the heck? I thought I was part of this city, and obviously I'm not. So, yeah, kind of make a long story short, they kind of had an emergency, so all is good now, but it still freaked me out a little bit. And like I said, finally allowed me a good cry, which I guess I needed. So then moved on. As far as what I'm doing, eating more chocolate, and yet I'm walking more too. Other than that, just trying to stay on top of things.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Let's go with Allison and or Heidi next, and Tomahawk.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess one good thing is that Heidi and I are here working together, so neither of us is alone. So, we can actually talk to someone, because Heidi is basically my social life right now. So, it's just nice to have someone to talk to. And otherwise, Personally, I've been trying new recipes.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Let's go with Brandon at Withy. Brandon.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, staying inside more, doing like more on the walker and everything, so which I had to dig out of the closet because I just don't trust outside right now. And just kind of reading up on some protocol library, just trying to make sure I don't, if you don't use it, you lose it.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Brandon. Let's go next to Dominic. Dominic, how about you? Dominic, if you're speaking, we're not hearing you. So I don't know if you need to unmute yourself on your phone or try your mic. Okay, he is unmuted. Okay. Okay, but I'm not getting any sound from you. So please share with us yes, please type. That'll work. Thank you. Okay, let's go on to Erica. Erica, what about you?
Jamie, this is Josh. Erica had mentioned in chat that she's on a call, so not to call on her, so maybe come back around to her after everybody else.
That's right. Thank you. Okay, let's go to Janae. How about you, Janae? Janae, are you there? Come back to me. Okay, I will. Jenny from Abbotsford. Are you there, Jenny?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Well, again, I said, yeah, I guess more virtual hookups. I said, Sue from Dorchester, let me take a step home. And so I've been doing a virtual, we watched the same step video and do it at the same time with an old college roommate. And so that was really nice of Sue to let me borrow that for this duration. And otherwise, because I'm here alone in the library, I think I've gone through 3 different audiobooks probably in the last week. So I said, thank God for Libby.
All right.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
That's okay. Thank you. Let's try Janae again. Janae, do you want to try your audio? Okay, we'll try coming back to you again. Let's go to Lori. Lori, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
Oh, good. All right. So what have I been doing during this time to stay healthy and connected? Well, I've been going out to we are considered a necessity as maple syrup producers. So I've been out in the woods. So that's what I've been doing to keep myself physically healthy, getting some fresh air, hugging trees basically, because those are safe. So I'm doing that. And while I'm here at home, I have been sewing up some face masks. I am a seamstress on the side, so I've been doing a lot of that, and that's been kind of helping me and keeping me sane while I'm here sitting at home working. So in between meetings online, which I've had several of today already, yeah, including this one, I've been trying to get some sewing in between. But I'm also my daughter is a 4K teacher, so I have been her tech coach here at home because she lives here at home and has been doing some things. We set up a Weebly site for her, and she's been doing some recordings for her 4K students. So been busy.
Okay, Thank you. So Dominic shared in chat that the city has instituted a travel reporting requirement. If city employees leave the adjacent county area, they need to report the travel to department head and city administrator to determine if a 14-day quarantine is necessary. Okay. And then what leave is used if quarantine is necessary. Okay, so that's that. Dominic, if you want to share also what you're doing to cope and stay healthy too, that would be awesome. Or not, you don't have to. Janae, how about you try it? We try you again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with the technology. Okay, so what am I doing to cope and stay healthy and connected? I don't know. I'm coming to work. There's only a couple of us here. We're doing fine so far. I'm working on some projects, staying healthy. I live with, there's 5 people in our house, so mental health at home is great because there's always somebody to talk to. I don't know what else to say.
Awesome.
It's all
That's
good.
Perfect. Good. It's just good to hear. It's good to hear your voice. So thanks for sharing. In just a second, we'll get to Erica. There was a question that came in from Teresa, and I think this is to Dominic, and that is, what or who constitutes us following city rules versus library rules? So Dominic, if you want to address that in chat, or if anyone would like to, feel free to do that. Let's go to Erica next. Erica, what are you doing to cope and stay healthy?
Hope and stay healthy. Is that the question?
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared to answer that.
Come on. You must be doing something.
Yeah, no. This weekend we made maple syrup and boiled down over almost 2 gallons, so that was good. Canned it. That's done. Let's see. Got up and went for a run this morning while it was still nice and sunny. So yeah, getting outside as much as possible when it's not raining and gross. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And otherwise just enjoying. Actually, the other thing I'm doing is, because I'm working from home now, my dining room table has a view of my bird feeder, so I get to sit here and yell at the squirrels all day to get off the bird feeder.
There you go. Whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Okay, let's go to Laura Lee. Laura Lee, what are you doing in Owen to stay healthy or stay connected?
Okay, this is Laura Lee. Well, pretty much just the same as we have been doing. I kind of had a question to throw out there. What if you live in a home where there's a high-risk person and one of the other residents of the home gets sick? Does that person need to find someplace else to go? Just kind of something I've been wondering, because I do have a high-risk person in my home. But other than that, I don't have anything new to report.
Okay, that might be great for someone to respond to in the chat. If you are in the home, you are in a home with someone, and there are some responses coming in. Kim said, Laura Lee, I heard that question on NPR today, and they said to self-isolate. So I think, and I would agree that I heard the same thing. If you can designate rooms for people to isolate themselves, then that is what you would do. But if anyone has heard anything differently, please share that. Okay, let's go with who's next? Peggy in Minocqua. How are you coping, Peggy?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I have 3 grown kids that live in Denver, so we have a lot of family FaceTiming going on at night. And my youngest daughter lives by herself, and she's pretty lonely, so she wants to come home, so we're figuring out how to get her home. But yeah, doing the maple syrup thing as well, and just getting outside. And keeping in touch with the staff. We have Zoom meetings Mondays and Thursday mornings now, and just trying to stay in touch and make sure everybody feels connected to the work that they're doing and that we're all on the same page. And so just a lot of correspondence with the staff. I go into the library many days, but I'm there by myself, but I'm home today, so kind of a mix. But yeah, all is well, really.
Okay, good. Thanks for sharing that. Let's go with Stephanie. Stephanie and Crandon.
Hey, I've been just kind of hanging out, like sitting in my hot tub and walking my cats in their stroller and doing real cool kid stuff. But I'm not making maple syrup, but it seems like everyone else is. You can send it my way. But we're doing good. It's just me and Eric here. He's still working at his job, thankfully, because that is one of my fears that like one of us is going to get laid off. That's like big on my list. But we're doing good. Mental health is pretty good over here, though I'm not exercising, but I probably will tune in if Jamie does an exercise video tonight.
All right, we're just going to ignore that comment. Okay, thanks for sharing, Stephanie. I want to mention a few things in the chat before we go on to Tammy. So Teresa said, Dominic, is that because your board adopted the city employee handbook rather than you have your own? And he said, correct. And then Marla followed up with, this is a great question, Teresa, in response to what Dominic said. I will follow up with you and Dominic about this and also share with the DPI. Okay, thank you. Tammy, how are things going with you? How are you coping?
I'm not. No, just kidding. I'm trying to stay connected with family. They're all out of state, so I'm trying to do lots of FaceTime visits. I'm getting Snapchats of what happens when babies and filters collide, and those have been hilarious. Chatting with staff. We're leaving notes at the library, lots of notes to each other, so when somebody comes in, there's lots of notes here. And I'm trying to brush up and learn new technology and stuff while I'm home. Playing with Zoom so I can be ready to run a meeting, somehow a virtual meeting in a couple of weeks. Our meeting's not till the 14th, so I have until then to get proficient at this, and just trying to balance FaceTime with computer time and still trying to get outside and get some fresh air and sunshine when I can.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I will say this is a decent time for getting more familiar with technology tools, right? Whether we're kind of being forced into it, but still a good time to practice these tools. So thank you. Okay, we already heard from Teresa. So Virginia, I don't know if you have audio, but if you do and want to try to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I thought I was on. Okay. I thought I'd unmuted myself. I'm actually on my cell phone because my laptop doesn't like BlueJeans very much. So I may have to load this onto another device. A lot of webinars, a lot of web meetings. I don't think I've been in so many meetings in my entire life since graduate school. I'm exhausted with meetings. But this one was so I'm dialed in. I just started getting outside after spending a week in my own personal space bubble. And I take care of some elderly folks, so I've tried to stay home as much as possible and away from people as much as possible. I was in the library a couple days last week. I will be in the library a couple more days this week. But we are scheduling ourselves when no one else is there. So we send out an email saying, is anybody going to be here from this time to that time? And a lot of email chats. We're going to hold our first Zoom meeting tomorrow afternoon. I am not trying to be proficient on it, so it should be good for a laugh. And a lot of the dogs and the cat have finally realized that the adults in the building are not leaving every day, and so they have gotten very cuddly, and they are likely going to bomb my meeting just because they can. They'll climb all over me if I don't throw them outside. So that's a lot of what I'm doing. I'm getting a couple of books read that I've been sitting on my nightside table. Pretty excited about that. Actually reading fiction again for the first time in months. So I've read 3 whole books, and I'm going to start on Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern very shortly here. But other than that, getting caught up on my files and other paperwork when I'm supposed to, and checking in with staff and making sure that they're doing okay too.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing, Virginia. So we'll move on in just a second. Speaking of webinars and continuing ed, so the customer service webinar with Pat Wagner tomorrow, the first of 3 that are happening tomorrow on the 8th and on the 15th, is full. So we have 500 spots in our webinars. That's our capacity, which we never come close to for anything. But now that all of the libraries are closed and all of you are home and are on separate devices, and a lot of people are looking for things to do, I put something on WisPubLib yesterday and it just filled up by late afternoon. So if you want to view the webinars next week and on the 15th, please sign up for those. I would sign up today before or very soon, so you don't lose out on a spot. So some of you might be signed up already, or you don't have an interest in signing up, and that is fine. But I just wanted to throw that out there while Virginia was talking about continuing ed. So, okay, thank you all for sharing what you are doing to cope and stay healthy. I think we need to continue to do all those things, and all of that looks different for all of us. Okay, so let's go on. Our topic today is going to be covering board meetings. We're going to talk a little bit about the software that we recommend, the pros and cons of that software, how we will provide support, just some general reminders and tips for running a successful virtual meeting, and then I'm going to share a couple links for online board meetings. I will also share those links in the daily tomorrow, so don't worry about writing those down. I will share those. Okay, so right now we are using BlueJeans. We typically use GoToMeeting for a lot of these meetings. The issue with GoToMeeting is that the capacity is at 26 people. So for things like this, for things like VCAT, for things possibly like your board meeting, that might not be enough room to host it. So with BlueJeans, and it's working a lot better today than it did on Friday. I think I'm better at it, and we sent out the document for tips, and that is helping too. So I feel like today is going much smoother, and that has to do with practice. So, Lean Wisconsin approved to receive an expanded pool of licensing, and this is via Teach grants. So because of that, that is the software that we are going to directly support, because we can support that, and we can also support the host capabilities for that as well. Because BlueJeans is seeing an influx in users, they have recently expanded their telephone call pooling because of the higher demand. The licensing that we or all of you can receive is at the enterprise level. So that has more features and functionality than the free level that people would get. You also, with BlueJeans, do have some user experience already, because you're on this webinar, you're on this meeting right now, and this will be used for the VCAT meeting on Thursday. So that's, I guess, another advantage that you have with using it. So some of you might be asking, what about Zoom? Zoom is a great product. I have used Zoom a couple of times now with my family to do FaceTime. I love it. It's also an easy interface. Josh still believes the 40-minute limit applies to public libraries for public meetings. If it doesn't, okay. It's not a super expensive product or software, but the paid account would be at your library's expense if you chose to do that. And as far as experience or vendor support, it's not something that we are as familiar with. So Josh mentioned today, if you are comfortable with Zoom and you feel it works for your needs, feel free to use that. As far as training and support, We just won't be able to provide as much of that if you choose to use Zoom or another product. Okay, so getting back to, but I wanted to mention that because we're hearing a lot of Zoom and a lot of you are using Zoom. As far as BlueJeans pros, there is audio and video available on your phone, and you can mute or unmute yourself whether you're using a cell phone or a landline. It's very easy to set up and to share the login information. Between today and last Friday, I've probably tried about 8 different softwares out there, free versions and whatnot. And they are all not equal when it comes to setting them up, sharing the info, and then getting people actually on for a meeting. So I would say GoToMeeting is really great for this. BlueJeans is really great for this, and Zoom is great for that. Another pro is that there aren't any extra downloads required, and it's fairly easy to access. Some cons, there are some instances of dropped audio and screen sharing. Katie and I did some testing yesterday morning, and there were a few times where my sound was dropped, my screen was dropped. Didn't last long, but it does happen. Your users can't change their phone number or name. So as I mentioned, right now I see some phone numbers in the chat area, and you are not allowed. I can't change that, and you're not allowed to change that. That's why in the chat I asked about who it was, whose phone number that was. So that is something you could do as well. The control panel also blocks the screen. So you might have noticed on Friday's recording, and then I accidentally X'd out when I shouldn't have. But there are parts of it where you just see a box on the screen, and that's because the control panel blocks your screen when you share it. And tools like GoToMeeting, that panel is invisible. So I could move that, I could make that as big as I want, or I can move it around, and you as a user wouldn't see it. So that is also a con of this product. So how will we support you? Katie did a great job with the tip sheet and provided some screenshots, and we will continue to do that as needed. We will create a digital bite or two and get that rolled out on using the software. And then anytime you want to do a rehearsal or a sound check with me or Josh, I guess I would recommend me first because Josh is probably busy with other technology tickets. Submit a help ticket. And if you want to test it out with me, just a 5-10 minute sound check and see how it works, feel free to do that. I'm happy to set that up with you. And actually that goes for any product. So if you're using Zoom or you're using free conference call, I'm happy to do a sound check for that as well. That goes with anything. So if this is something that you are interested, if you are interested in creating or having a BlueJeans license for your library, please submit a help ticket, keep it consistent. And then if you need a rehearsal, please submit a help ticket as well. Keep that consistent. And Josh just said scheduling is best for any testing. He can help, and Ash can help as well. So we can make sure someone is available to help you with that. Some tips for running an online meeting. So I really think practice is the best way to feel comfortable and familiar with it. And that is where a sound check comes in. So even after you might do one with me, maybe test one with a family member, maybe even test one with your board president before you do your actual meeting, just to make sure that person can connect and is comfortable with it. With online meetings, you want to make sure to speak slowly because you're not face-to-face and your audience can't see you. So because of that, they need time to process what you are saying. So you might have noticed I just slowed down. I slowed down how I was speaking because I was seeing this on the screen. And you might feel like you're talking really slow, but you aren't. To your listeners, there is likely a little bit of a delay anyway. And again, they need time to process because they don't see you at all. They're just hearing you. Headset or using a headset or something, a headset with your phone is usually better than your laptop sound or your laptop speakers. I would, if you have something like that, or even like some kind of earbud type thing that you would use with your phone, that might even work better than just a computer speaker. Again, encourage your attendees to mute when they're not speaking, and that's something that you can remind them of when you start your meeting. And then as a moderator, encourage sharing and prompting. So there might be, as an example, there might be a webinar that I'm organizing, and I might get like 5 questions from an attendee. So instead of relaying those questions to the presenter, all 5 of them, I might say, well, because we're short on time, and I do this behind the scenes. We're going to go with somebody else's question, or I might just go with somebody else's question. So that's, I guess, the power that you have as a moderator. You want to give everyone a chance to speak and a chance to share. If you have a member of your board who isn't saying much, and you have the same person who kind of keeps dominating the time, and this is true of face-to-face, but also true of these virtual meetings, encourage those people, prompt those people. So, hey, hey, Sally, did you have any thoughts on that? Or what do you think about that, Sally? So feel free to encourage that prompting. And I want to say, as far as practice, I just want to go back to that, because I have moderated probably hundreds of webinars over the last several years, and I've worked with speakers who've presented hundreds of webinars, and I still ask them, well, I force them, but I say ask because that sounds nicer. I still ask them to do a sound check with me before everyone. I don't care how experienced they are. I don't care how many they've done. We still do a rehearsal. We still do a sound check, and we just make sure everything is working. So don't feel like you're not. It's a good thing to do. The practice is the best way to feel comfortable with it, because you don't want to get on for your first board meeting and be unfamiliar or not sure what that button means when you click it or push it. You really want to practice, and we're happy to help with that if you need. Okay. These are the links that we wanted to share as far as open meetings, guidelines, and resources. And again, I'm going to share these in the daily tomorrow. So feel free to watch for those there. Okay. Any questions about that? The meetings or the software? I know I see there's been some stuff in chat. Katie mentioned a few things. Katie said, for anyone having trouble with BlueJeans on their computer, the phone app does seem to work better with poor connectivity in her limited experience. Yeah. Josh also made a good point in the chat, phone first. So treat meetings as a phone conference first, and then add in the other functionality as experience comfort allows. So I would agree with that. Treat this as something to use as an audio tool or phone first. And then think of the screen sharing as second. So your board members should have all the documents in their hand ahead of time, right? I mean, those are posted on your website, so anybody has access to those. So you shouldn't feel like if it's too much to do the audio part and do a screen share, or even just to put up an agenda, you shouldn't necessarily feel the pressure to do that. So concentrate on the phone or the audio part first. And then, as Marla said, it's helpful if participants identify themselves. So that's a good reminder as well. And that's something we asked you to do today. So that's a good habit to also get into. Anyone, before we go on to info from DPI, does anyone have any questions or comments about what we just talked about? So just feel free to jump in. You're all, you just have to unmute yourself.
Do emergency meetings have to do anything? And it's probably in the readings that you're giving us. emergency board meetings have to be handled any different than our normal monthly board meetings? This is
So you're
Teresa, by the way.
Hi, Teresa. You're asking if emergency board meetings, and is this an online emergency board meeting?
Well, I'm not sure how to handle it. We had our board meeting 2 weeks ago, so the next board meeting doesn't come up until April 20th. But I'd kind of like some information from my board right now as far as payroll, how to pay staff, what we should be doing, and those kind of things. So how do I handle that kind of meeting? I'm thinking it would be an emergency board meeting, but I'm not for sure.
Okay, so Erica said in the chat that you can call a special meeting at any time, and the 24-hour notice is all that is required. And then Marla said the same thing. A 24-hour notice is recommended. So yeah, I think when things were changing pretty rapidly in the last week or two, a lot of meetings were happening quickly. And then Kim said, Teresa, you probably have bylaws that explain special meetings. So I hope that helps you.
Stephanie from Crandon here. So we have a couple of board members that are asking about our April meeting, and we have less than 10 people. So they're asking if we can gather and still do social distancing, and I'm kind of against it, but I don't know anybody else's thoughts.
Does anyone want to jump in on that? Or are you facing the same thing?
I mean, a lot of them aren't very tech savvy, and so I think that's why they're a little bit resistant to the virtual meetings, which I totally understand. But I just don't want to do anything that might cast the library in a negative light.
Right. That's understandable.
This is Peggy. When I was listening to WXPR this morning, it seems like, I don't know if it's the city of Rhinelander or Oneida County, but they seem like they're holding meetings with the social distancing, and then having the public, giving them an access number that they can, I don't know, to make it comply with open meeting laws, but they're still meeting and practicing social distancing. So I don't know if that helps, but I know that meetings are going on like that.
Okay, thanks, Peggy. Anyone else want to add anything to that? Laura Lee said, our city has been having committee meetings still. They have taken over the library because there's more room to spread out. They are offering a Zoom alternative for non-board members who want to attend. Tammy also asked in the chat, if the meetings are public, do we have to post the link to online meetings? And Erica said, yes, Tammy. And then Josh said that question is more thoroughly answered in one of the resources that are referenced. So yes, you still have to, the public, members of the public should have access to that link the same as they would have access in an in-person meeting. Anything else on board meetings before we continue? Thank you for all of your comments and questions. This is good, really good to share all of this. Okay, so Marla was in a meeting, a SIR-Law meeting this morning, and mentioned that a lot of information was shared in that meeting that she wanted to share today with all of you. So Marla, whenever you are ready. We just need you to unmute yourself, Marla. Marla, we are not hearing you. And
Reminder for phone, *4.
Is this okay now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Oh, somehow I became unmuted and there was an announcement I was unmuted. Okay. Yes. I had a really informative meeting this morning with DPI and other system directors, and I thought I'd just give you a heads up on some of the information that's forthcoming. First was that there was a response to several questions about materials quarantine, and they came out with a recommendation. I haven't checked my email, but I believe there may already be something posted on that. And I think the recommendation was that materials should be isolated for about 24 hours. Another thing that came up, considerable discussion, was on what will services look like once doors reopen. There was some concern with libraries, especially with their part-timers, that part-timers would leave their employment with the library to go work at grocery stores, and that they wouldn't have staff once the doors were open to the public. So they're encouraging systems to talk with their member libraries about issues they may see once they do reopen. What will happen with courier? What will happen with interlibrary loan? What will happen with the checkout date for everything in the system being the same? What kind of bottleneck will that create? Gridlocks to the system, that kind of thing. So we will certainly be planning a discussion with our member libraries about that sometime in the near future. There was also a situation where libraries, of course, have been deemed closed to the public, but libraries were still offering home side and curbside pickup. Shannon Schultz from DPI has written a letter to those libraries who were doing that, and I asked her to share a copy of that letter with us, and I will pass that along once I receive it. There was also some concern about delivery at the state level and also local delivery, and thus far, the state delivery offered through South Central is viable. They are paying their staff even though they are not at work. How long they will be able to do that is not clear. South Central contracts with Waltco to do part of their delivery, and they Waltco indicated that they are doing okay for now as well. Another courier service, Action Logistics, that is used by some of the systems in the southern part of the state and also by Northern Waters, does most of their volume via libraries. And they too are holding their own for now, but it sounds like they could be challenged if this goes well beyond mid-April into May. So we may have to look at what does that mean if one of our courier vendors goes under. Then we got into a discussion about paying part-time, full-time staff, hourly workers, salaried workers, people who are at home being paid, people not being paid. We know of a situation in Fremont where the municipality decided to close the library, decided to not pay staff, and the library director has been trying to contact the board president, and the board president refuses to meet. And the situation about staff is happening across the state. Shannon has agreed to put together a quick survey to send to the directors regarding this so they can get a handle on what's happening within each library. So watch for that to come out really soon. Also, WLA is releasing a statement, I think today, on staff pay. So I think what we'll see is something from them that is supporting payment to all staff, regardless of whether they're part-time or full-time. The next issue that came up had to do with county funding of libraries, and this concern is also statewide. And the formula, the way it is, looks, if we were to keep that in place, would certainly show a significant increase in the cost per each circulation. However, how that really winds up as a benefit to libraries is not really something we can point to at this point. There was some ideas were passed around that maybe we could get some funding from IMLS to consider, we were to consider 2020 as a gap year and go with funding similar to what was offered in 2019. Also, as you are aware, WLA's LD&L committee is paying very close attention to this matter and is looking to offer some help down the road. Kurt Kiefer had suggested that this may be part of the next biennial budget. So there are some ideas being kicked around about this, and we will continue to watch what is occurring at the state level and pass along any additional news. But I want you to be assured that they are listening and they are concerned and they are looking for solutions. What else here? Wisconsin Public Radio has reached out to DPI. They want to have a discussion about libraries and how they are supporting their patrons while they're closed. That program will run on Monday, April 6th at 11 o'clock. So people are encouraged to listen in and to ask questions. In the meantime, DPI is looking for libraries to share their stories with them. So the link for that will be shared with all of you in an upcoming COVID-19 update, so watch for that. Bill Herman from DPI will be sending a survey out in the next few days to library systems. Josh will be getting an email from Bill Herman. And he will in turn pass something along to all of you that will describe how to set up Wi-Fi so that it is accessible outside the library building. Apparently some libraries across the state were having problems with that. And also libraries will then be asked to fill in a survey about their Wi-Fi access, and that information will be plotted in a Public Service Commission map to show where Wi-Fi is available in communities. I think those are the highlights. The 2-hour discussion we had today was by far the best one we've had. And I have to tell you, DPI staff is working so very, very hard behind the scenes to help all of us. And their willingness to meet with us once a week, to provide us with an opportunity to share our concerns, which of course are coming from each of you, has been extremely helpful and beneficial to all. So kudos to them for helping us out. Does anyone have any questions about these announcements?
Yeah, feel free to jump in, just unmute yourself. There was a comment from Erica that came in via the chat that says, my only comment regarding keeping all staff paid, it's so hard to tell, but some of the information I'm seeing makes it look like it might actually be better for some part-time staff to take furlough and unemployment. I don't know if that has come up in any of the conversations, Marla, or if any of you are experiencing the same thing at your library, but Erica made that comment.
You know, I have not heard that as a benefit yet. If there is an example to share of that, I would appreciate that. I'll certainly pass that along.
Thing is that we, with furlough, we are definitely not laying people off. This is one thing that we, after discussing with the town and asking them the difference between furlough and layoff, it is definitely in everybody's best interest to try to do furlough whenever possible, because number one, furlough just means basically it's unpaid leave, but they can collect unemployment. And that this is all my understanding of what's coming down to me, but they can be, they are still employees. They don't have to be rehired. You don't have to, if there are any benefits that some part-time people get, if there are employees that are part-time but still getting WRS, they continue in WRS just as an unpaid period of time. So it's really been, we've been really careful to word our things as we're discussing furlough for our staff. And it also looks like maybe if an employee can work from home, they may not be as eligible for unemployment benefits that are from the federal government. And again, this is just what I'm reading today because I'm trying really hard to figure out what's the best for each of my employees. So if they can work from home, it's better for them to work from home. If they can't work from home, then it's better to do furlough than layoff. I don't know, it's complicated.
You know, it is complicated. And then at one point, and there's something on the DPI website about this too. So if the library's closed and you can't work, then you're considered, you're laid off. So there's some confusion in all of this with me. And yes, if you're furloughed, you stand to make more money and maintain your benefits. Whereas if you're basically, not furloughed, you're laid off, you go for unemployment and you don't have the opportunity to accrue your benefits. So the part that has me concerned is that gray area where if the library is closed and you can't work, are you laid off?
And again, our library is only closed physically in the building, but we are continuing to provide services, online services. If you close the library, we have to shut off Wi-Fi. This is the building is closed, but not the services of the library.
Yes, you're still offering those virtual services, even though access to the building is not available. I understand.
So a couple questions came in, and I'd like to get to those while we still have a little time. I don't know if you can answer this, Marla. Dominic asked, does the WLA statement does a WLA statement on paying employees have any influence on municipalities considering local control?
This is an unprecedented situation. I don't know how much of an impact it will have, but it may be one of the tools directors can use to help in their situation as it's coming from the state association. I don't know that, Dominic.
Okay.
I don't have there. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's hard to answer at this point, but it could be something helpful to use. Stephanie asked, is anyone giving their part-time staff the option to make up hours when regular work resumes? This is what I've told part-time staff who are not working right now. And there's a bunch of responses to that in the chat area. Heidi said that's what we've told some of our shelvers who are retired, and they are all up for it. Janae said we have part-time staff choosing to not come here due to health compromises and the safety. So there's some comments about that. Anything else before we close for today?
I would just say to everyone, please watch for updates to the DPI information, both within the COVID updates that you're receiving and also through the WVLS website.
Yes. Okay. So our next meeting is Friday, April 3rd. And again, that meeting will be at 10 a.m., not 1 p.m. So 10 a.m. And watch for the sign-in info either in Thursday's daily or the daily on Friday morning. And that always comes out by 9 a.m. And I do post the link on the web page as well, where it says Staying Together Discussions. And that's where I also host the recordings. Actually, I'm going to show you that so you know. So right here is where we archive the daily updates every day. And then the Staying Together recordings are right there. And then we will post the login information there as well. Okay. If you do have topic ideas for either Friday or in the future, feel free to share those with me. And again, I just want to say thank you for participating today. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions. These are really rich discussions, and I think it is time well spent for all of it. So thank you. And we will talk to you on Friday, if not before then. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Jamie or Marla, could